Okay, well, I have already loaded the day 20 exercise, and well, the first thing you want to do is, of course, you want to change your name here. And after that, well, here is one more thing. You want to grab this content, and then you want to do a copy. Then you right click and click create a new file. It should be, let me right click here. Right click here, and then you want to create a new file, and the new file should be data.txt. So you want to do a data.txt here, and then you paste this content in. Okay, so this is a file you will read in, and then you want to convert all the information into a tuple. Okay, anyhow, I have already created this file, and this file is here, so it will look like this. Okay, and then well, for the first one, well, I'm just requiring you to create such a tuple. So you create a tuple and then you print that tuple, and then that's it. Well, and for the second one, you are going to create the same tuple again. Well, but this time you want to use the for loop to visit all the members one by one. Okay, so you may say, hey, we didn't talk about how do we use a for loop to visit a tuple, the items in the tuple. Okay, well, but think this way. We say, well, a tuple is an immutable version of a list. Okay, and then how do you visit all the members in a list one by one? And then you know the answer, right? And then think about this. When we are visiting all the members one by one, are we changing this tuple in place? No, we are just touching the values, right? And then, well, let me give you the answer. The answer is, if you know how to visit the members of a list one by one, do the same thing. It works with tuple too. Okay? Well, the next one, we want to read a file. So we want to read this file, read the data.txt, and then for each line, we want to convert that into a tuple. And remember, we are using the comma as a delimiter. Well, even better. How about we use the comma and a space as the delimiter? Okay, because if you're using a comma as a delimiter, now for the second value, and you will include a space at the very beginning. So instead of using the comma splitting by comma, you should split using comma a space as the delimiter. Okay, and after that, you also want to touch this part because the 2015 it will be processed as a string, but we want to change that into an integer. Okay. Okay, and for the next one, well, we are using the loop to visit a nested tuple. So what will the nested tuple look like? Okay, we scroll down, and how about we see this one? So this will be a nested tuple, right? And then we are visiting this nested tuple, and then we have the hallway, and then the size of the hallway. We have the kitchen, and then the size of the kitchen. So, well, for each of the sub tuple, and then we are grabbing the first part. The first part is the name of the area, and the second part will be the size of that area. Okay, so we are trying to visit the information in a nested tuple, and then we are trying to do some output like this. And then you also want to get the total size. So, well, if you understand how to visit the members in a nested list, and my suggestion is you do the same thing, it will work for tuples as well. So the general rule is, if you want to do something on a tuple, if one, you know how to do that with a list, and two, you're sure this doesn't change the tuple, so you just do that in the way you want to do with a list. It will work on tuples. Okay. So the next one will be a fun question. For this question, I'm requiring you to make some changes. And for example, try to append a number 8 to this tuple. So we have already got a tuple, right? And then say if you want to do the tuple example, how do you do a append? Dot append 8. Okay, well, if you want to run this code, my question is, does that work? So think about that, because now we have a tuple and then we are adding one more value. Well, for for list, no problem, we can do that. But for tuple, does that change the tuple in place? If it changes the tuple in place, let me run this, and then it doesn't work. Why? Because we are changing the tuple in place because we are adding one more number. Okay, so in this case, we know it doesn't work, so I'm going to comment this out. And then I have already learned it doesn't work. Okay, so you have to move on and do a few more things. Like, can you delete a item from a tuple? Or can you do a in-place change? Okay, so go ahead and try them by yourselves. Okay, next thing. Well, here are some of the operations you want to do with a tuple. Well, you are going to receive a tuple, and after that, here are some of the things you want to do. Well, you want to print a slice of the tuple without the last item, and then you want to you want to use a slice, and then you keep everything, but you want to throw away the last item. And then you want to get the length of the tuple. So let me show you how to do the first one. So for the first one, I'm grabbing my tuple, right? And then I want to print a slice of this tuple without the last item. So everything will be kept except the last one. So how do you create such a slice? So tuple, we want to start from the very beginning. So we can say we start from the 0, right? And then where do we end? We end right before the last item. And how do we know the index of the last item? That is the -1, right? So take a look. Well, we start this slice from the very beginning, which is index 0, and then we go all the way to the end, but we exclude the last item. So what do we have? We have everything excluding the last one, right? And then if you want to do a print, and then this will be the answer to the first part. Okay, so those are the hints I want to give you, and another thing I want to remind you, and you want to spend some time on the project 3, and that will be a big one. Okay, and if you have questions, let me know. Bye.